Hello and welcome back to the I Just Love Footy YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about a smoky that I think could make the top 5 in Collingwood's BNF this season in 2024, and I think that man is Bobby Hill. I want to mention the 5 metrics that we will be referencing other players against Bobby Hill who are also considered small forward elite players. Those 5 metrics will be tackles inside 50, disposal efficiency, goal assists, goal per game, and disposals. Bobby Hill averaged 0.9 tackles inside 50 per game. Now, what that translates when it comes to comparing the rest of the competition, he falls around the 41st mark for tackles inside 50 amongst the forwards. Bobby Hill's disposal efficiency sat at 70% for the season, 0.6 goal assists per game, which finds him at 45th within the competition, 1.4 goals per game, 42nd amongst the rest, and 10.3 disposals per game. Now, when I first thought of this idea, I wondered to myself, who is most like for like, or who could Bobby Hill best resemble moving forward in the near future? And one of the players that sprung to mind was Kozzy Pickett. Kozzy Pickett finished 7th in the best and fairest for the Melbourne Demons, and these are the numbers that helped him propel into the top 10 of the BNF this season. We saw Kozzy averaging 2 tackles inside 50 per game, which on an average basis saw him 4th amongst the forwards in the competition, which is obviously elite. 60.4% disposal efficiency along with 11.5 disposals. That 60% is a little bit lower than other small forwards, mostly attributed to the fact that Kozzy did play in the midfield quite a bit, so that would have skewed his efficiency a little bit. And 1.6 goals per game, which finds him at 31st. For me, that is Bobby Hill's next step as far as stats are concerned. I think Bobby really does have the potential to closely resemble what Kozzy was able to produce in season 2023. For me, that's his first step. There is another player that we have just recently recruited who would be the next step, and that would be Lachie Schultz. However, I'm going to save him for another video. And so in this case, we're going to skip to the best of the bunch. And next in line is Charlie Cameron. Charlie Cameron averaged 1.7 tackles inside 50 per game, which found him sitting at 5th for the competition, 64.6% disposal efficiency, along with his 9.9 disposals per game, 0.7 goal assists per game, which finds him 40th in the competition, and an elite 2.3 goals per game, which found him 10th on the goal kicking scoreboard for the season. With all those stats considered for Charlie Cameron, he found himself finishing 7th in the BNF for the Brisbane Lions in a runners-up season in the grand final. Now, while the jury is still out as to whether Bobby Hill could potentially score 60 goals in a season, I don't know if he could match what Charlie Cameron has been able to put out on a consistent season-to-season basis. However, I do believe Bobby Hill has the potential to be a true goal sneak, similar to Charlie Cameron, and they also share similar aerial capacity to take big marks. Finally, the last step in Bobby Hill's career would be to try and match the likes of someone who's probably going to go down as one of the greatest small forwards of all time, and that's Toby Greene. Now, I'm not saying Bobby will ever reach the heights of it. I'm just providing some data from elite small forwards, and that if Bobby can try replicate some of the productivity that we see from these players, then this will find Bobby Hill in the top 5 for Collingwood's BNF this season. Toby Greene surprisingly averages 1.4 tackles inside 50 per game. Now, he must not meet my eye test because I never really noticed him for inside 50 pressure, so I'm going to be more conscious of that this season. 1.4 tackles finds him sitting at 14th in the competition for tackles inside 50. Toby averaged an amazing 17.8 disposals along with 58% disposal efficiency, again skewed because he was able to accumulate the ball so much. So naturally, the more you have the ball, the more mistakes you're probably going to make, therefore affecting your disposal efficiency. However, averaging 2.8 goals per game, finding yourself 4th in the competition, disposal efficiency above 50% and scoring at that rate, I think, you can cop that. All these numbers suggested towards a BNF season for Toby Greene, and that's exactly what he did and finished first in the GWS Best and Fairest tally. Now, with all these numbers put into consideration, what are my predictions for Bobby Hill's season that would help find him in the top 5 for BNF? Goals per game, again, moving on from 1.4 goals per game. I'd like to see him bump that up to 1.8, which would translate into 40 goals for the season, which would be an amazing feat having only moved over to Collingwood just last season. I think with Bobby Hill's composure, evasiveness, and vision that I've seen in moments at games and also in training, I think he needs to average more disposals, and I think that would look close to 13 disposals per game to find himself up the ground more. And I think it's more on him to get more involved, to be more assertive with his positioning, be more demanding of the ball. And then subsequently, hopefully we do see more of these skills that haven't been on show as much as we would like to see just yet. Again, still not amongst the elite for tackles inside 50, having only averaged 0.9 tackles last season. I think a reasonable suggestion as far as increased output for tackles inside 50 would be around a 1.3 tackles inside 50 mark. Lastly, 0.8 goals assist is what I am hoping Bobby Hill can achieve, bumping that up from 0.6. So again, with all those variables put into play altogether, I think that season would culminate in a top 5 BNF finish. There is a certain Collingwood recruit who is elite in the tackling domain, so I'm wondering if a certain Lockie Schultz could help Bobby with his tackling game inside 50. Thanks for sticking around. If you liked the video, obviously give us a thumbs up. Give us a comment, let us know your thoughts. Do you agree, disagree? Is there anyone else you'd like me to talk about? And ultimately, if you want to stick around, subscribe to the video, and we'll see you soon.